What happens when the man behind 20 stores walks into one and no one even looks up? Harlen Lowe leaned against the outside wall of store number 14, tugging the edge of his ball cap down and adjusting the wire-rimmed glasses on his face. He looked nothing like the man who signed paychecks. The beard was new. The flannel shirt, faded jeans, and sneakers were all thrift store buys. He'd even added a slight limp to his walk. He hadn't been to this location in 2 years. The last time he visited, the original owner had just handed him the keys. Back then, it had potential. But recently, online reviews had soured. Slow service, rude staff, orders wrong, customers ignored. It didn't line up with the values he'd worked so hard to build across all his stores. Corporate chains had the benefit and curse of anonymity. None of the staff knew what he looked like. Most had never seen him. He liked it that way. It allowed him to see the truth. Harlen stepped inside the mid-sized fast casual diner and joined the short line at the register. The air smelled of stale grease. A woman in front of him glanced around impatiently before walking out. No one behind the counter noticed. 2 employees stood near the soda machine, laughing about something on a phone. A third leaned on the counter, scrolling through hers. The only one moving was a waitress, slim, dark ponytail, moving fast between tables. She looked exhausted but focused. Harlen cleared his throat at the register. Nothing. He waited. A full minute. Then 2, still nothing. Finally, he said, "Excuse me, can I order?" The employee at the counter, a young woman with heavy eyeliner and gum in her mouth, didn't look up. "Someone'll get to you." Then she walked into the back. Harlen blinked. A man behind him muttered, "Good luck, man, they don't care." He stepped aside and let the man leave. Then Harlen waited again. Eventually, the waitress, still the only one actually doing anything, noticed him. "Hi." "Sorry, did no one help you?" she asked, walking over and wiping her hands on her apron. He shook his head. "No," she sighed. "Figures." She stepped behind the counter and tapped the screen. "What can I get you?" He ordered a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. "Got it. I'll bring it to your table." "Just sit anywhere that's clean. I'll wipe a spot for you." "What's your name?" he asked as she handed him his receipt. "Neria." "Sorry again. It's been like this for weeks." He nodded. "Thanks, Neria." While she made his coffee, Harlen watched the others. One employee finally returned from the back, sipping a drink and laughing with another. Neria was wiping down a booth by the window when she caught Harlen's eye and motioned toward it. He sat. A few minutes later, she brought out his order. "Hope this is okay," she said, placing the plate down. "Kitchen's slow today." He took a bite. It was cold, she noticed. "I can remake that." "No, it's fine. You've been kind. That means more." She gave a tired smile. "I try. Someone has to." Harlen looked at her. "Lot of staff here. Why are you the only one doing anything?" Neria hesitated. Then she sat across from him. "I probably shouldn't say anything," she said, glancing around. "But honestly, our manager's barely here. When he is, he stays in the office. The others just do whatever. I was hired 2 months ago. Been picking up everyone's slack since." "Why not tell someone?" "I did," she said. "I called the district manager last week, left a voicemail. No one called back." Harlen leaned back, heart thudding. This was worse than he thought. "What about your coworkers?" she shrugged. "Some just don't care. Others gave up. I'm working doubles to pay rent. I don't have the energy to fight them." He nodded slowly. "You live nearby." "About a 15-minute bus ride. I get here early to open, then stay late to clean. I don't mind the work." "I just wish it mattered." Harlen looked out the window. He felt sick. He'd built this company on purpose with pride. But here, one of his stores had turned into a place where effort went unnoticed and laziness thrived. He rubbed his forehead. "If you had the authority, what would you change?" Neria blinked. "You really want to know?" "Yes." She leaned in. "First, I'd hold people accountable, then I'd fix the schedule. We're always short because no one wants to work with no structure, and maybe bring back the team meetings." "I've never even met the owner." Harlen met her eyes. "You just did." Her mouth opened slightly confused. "What?" "I own this store, and 19 others just like it." She stared at him, stunned. "You're kidding." He pulled his wallet from his jacket and slid out a business card. She picked it up and read the name. Her jaw dropped. Wait, seriously, you're Harlen Lowe, he nodded. She laughed once, disbelieving. You've been here this whole time. I needed to see it for myself. She looked down, suddenly panicked. I'm sorry if I said too much. No, he said firmly. You said exactly what I needed to hear. He stood. Where's the manager? In the office, probably playing poker on his phone. Harlen set down his napkin. Then let's go say hello. Neria led Harlen past the front counter and through a narrow hallway to a closed office door. Harlen knocked once firmly, then opened it without waiting for a response. Inside, a man in his 30s sat slouched in a rolling chair, feet up on the desk, eyes fixed on a small tablet propped against a cup of pens. An untouched stack of schedules lay beside a mostly empty bag of chips. He didn't look up. Give me a second, the manager said, tapping at the screen. Harlen stepped fully into the room and shut the door behind him. No, we're not going to do that. The manager finally raised his head, annoyed. Who are you? Harlen moved toward the desk and held up his card. Harlen Lowe, I own this store. The man blinked, slowly processing. Wait, you're the… Yes. The manager sat forward, scrambling to put his feet down. I didn't know you were coming. I know. I was just checking our digital ordering system. We've had some glitches lately. No, you weren't, Harlen said, voice even. You were watching a show. I've been in the dining area for over 30 minutes. I watched multiple customers walk out. I watched your team ignore the register. I watched one person run this entire store by herself while the rest of you stood around like it wasn't your job. The manager opened his mouth, then closed it. What's your name? Harlen asked. Derek. Derek, how long have you been managing this location? About 9 months. And in that time, how often are you on the floor during peak hours? Derek hesitated. I handle a lot of the back-end stuff, inventory, scheduling, payroll. I saw the schedule on your desk. It's blank. Derek looked down, jaw tight. Harlen continued, you haven't answered my question. I mean, I'm out there when they need me. They needed you today. I didn't know you were coming. That's the problem, Harlen said. You only show up when someone's watching. Derek stood up, defensive now. Look, I don't know what she told you. Neria didn't tell me anything I didn't see for myself. You're not managing, you're hiding, and your staff has followed your lead. Derek's face hardened. They're adults. I shouldn't have to babysit them. No, but you are responsible for the culture you allow, and right now this store is rotting under your watch. Harlen stepped closer, keeping his voice low. You're done here. Clear out your things. I'll have your final check processed this afternoon. You're firing me, just like that? There's nothing sudden about this. It's been happening for months. Today I saw it myself. Derek looked past him as if someone might step in. No one did. You can go out the side door, Harlen said, then turned and walked out. Back in the hallway, Neria stood with her arms crossed, watching the door. Harlen gave her a quiet nod, then headed back to the front of the store. The two employees by the soda machine were still chatting. One of them, a guy in a logo-stained hoodie, noticed him and straightened up as Harlen approached. You work here? Harlen asked. Yeah, I'm on shift till 2. What's your name? Ty. You know who I am? Ty glanced at the card in Harlen's hand, then shook his head. I'm the owner, Harlen said. I've been here for almost 45 minutes. You've walked past the register 4 times and haven't acknowledged a single customer. Ty scratched at his neck. The system was down earlier. I thought someone else was handling it. Did you check? No, but go clock out. You're done. Ty's mouth dropped. Wait, what? You don't get to ignore customers and stay on payroll. This isn't a hangout, it's a job. Ty looked to the other employee for backup. She stepped back, silent. Harlen turned to her. And you? She shifted uncomfortably. I was just helping him clean the soda station. Then you can tell me your name, Angela. How long have you worked here? 4 months. You like working here? Angela hesitated. It's fine. Fine enough to ignore customers and let your coworker do all the work. I didn't know she was alone today. You were scheduled with her, you knew. Angela looked down. Clock out. Same as him. Angela's eyes widened. Please, I need this job. Then you should have done it. She didn't argue again. Harlen watched them leave, then turned back to Neria, who had quietly returned to the front. She looked stunned. "I didn't think it would go like that," she said. "It had to," Harlen replied. "This place doesn't heal unless we cut out what's infected." She nodded, still absorbing it. "How many others are on shift today?" he asked. "Just Carla in the kitchen. She's been here since 5. Let's go meet her." They headed into the back. The kitchen was small, fluorescent lit, warm from the flat-top grill. A woman in a gray tee, mid-40s, stood at the prep table, hands moving quickly as she wrapped 2 breakfast burritos. She looked up when they entered. "Carla," Harlen asked. "That's me. I'm Harlen Lowe. I own this location." Carla lowered her hands. "Oh, I came in undercover this morning, saw a lot, not all of it good, but I heard you've been holding this place together." She glanced at Neria, who nodded. "I just do what I'm supposed to," Carla said. "I don't like mess." "How long have you been opening solo?" Carla thought for a moment. 3 weeks, maybe more. Derek stopped posting full schedules. He said he was short-staffed. But the last few interviews he no-showed, so I started just showing up. Harlen looked around the kitchen. Everything was clean. The prep stations were stocked, the walk-in door was closed, the back sink had no stack of dishes. "You've been doing all this alone." "Some days Neria helps, but mostly, yeah." "You could have walked out," Harlen said. "I don't like quitting," Carla replied simply. Harlen nodded. "You up for a meeting in the dining room? I want to talk next steps." Carla wiped her hands and followed them out. They sat at a booth by the window, the same one Harlen had used earlier. "I'm going to bring in a temporary manager from one of my top-performing stores," Harlen said. "He'll be here within a week. Until then, I'll be on site." Neria blinked. "You're staying?" "I'm not leaving this place hanging, not after what I saw." He turned to Carla. "I'm increasing your hourly pay starting today, same for Neria. You've both been carrying the weight of a team that wasn't pulling theirs." Carla's eyes widened. "You don't have to do that." "I do," Harlen said, "because you earned it." He turned to Neria. "And I want to offer you a team lead position. It's not full management, but it comes with more hours and a say in how things run day to day." Neria stared at him, stunned. "Wait, are you serious?" "You've got the work ethic. You just need the authority to match." She swallowed hard, her voice quiet. "I don't even know what to say." "Say yes," Carla said with a small grin. Neria laughed, then nodded. "Yes, I mean yes, absolutely." Harlen looked at both of them. "We're going to clean this place up. It's not going to be easy. We'll have to hire, retrain, maybe redecorate to make it feel like somewhere worth being again. But I'm not letting this store go down. Not when there are people like you still here." They nodded, quiet but determined. A customer walked in then, hesitated by the door. Neria stood immediately, already walking toward the register. Carla headed back to the kitchen. Harlen stayed in the booth, watching the morning light spill across the floor. This store wasn't fixed, not yet, but for the first time in months it had a chance. By the following morning, Harlen had already made 3 calls before 7. One to his operations director in the city, another to a senior manager from a high-performing store 2 districts away, and a third to a supplier he trusted to expedite basic cleaning and signage materials. This wasn't going to be a gradual fix. It needed a reset, and fast. He arrived early before sunrise to find Neria unlocking the front door. Her movements were slower than the day before. She had a slight stiffness in her shoulders that hadn't been there yesterday. "Morning," Harlen said as he stepped out of his truck. She looked over her shoulder, eyebrows raised. "Didn't think you'd be back this early." "I said I'd be on site. I thought that meant like at 9. He gave her a nod that passed for a smile. "We've got a full list today. Better to get ahead of it." Inside, the air still carried a lingering scent of fryer oil, but the dining area felt different, cleaner. The booths had been wiped down. The trash bins were empty, floors mopped. Carla had stayed late the night before to finish the closing shift herself, and it showed. "Carla's already in the back," Neria said, flipping on the lights. "She got here before me." Harlen followed her into the kitchen. Carla was portioning dry goods into labeled containers, hairnet on, sleeves rolled up. "Did you sleep at all?" Harlen asked. Few hours, she said without slowing her hands. Figured I'd prep early, that way we're not scrambling if it gets busy. He watched her for a beat. You're getting an assistant today, she paused. Someone new, someone from my main crew. His name's Leo, I trust him. He's running point until we get a permanent manager placed. Carla nodded once. Long as he works, I'm good. Before they opened, Harlen called a quick meeting at the front counter. Just the three of them. He laid out the day. We're not trying to break sales records. We're trying to stabilize. Focus on accuracy, speed, and presence. If someone walks through that door, they should feel seen within 5 seconds. No exceptions. Neria leaned against the register. You think the other staff will show today? They won't be allowed back. She blinked. That's it. They're gone. They knew the standards. They chose to ignore them. We're not rebuilding on that. At 8 sharp, the first customer walked in, an older man with a folded newspaper under his arm. Carla passed the order to Neria, who rang it up and delivered it within 5 minutes. Nothing fancy, nothing dramatic, just efficient, respectful service. By mid-morning, Leo arrived. He was in his early 40s, lean, clean-cut, wearing a plain black polo and dark jeans. He scanned the store as he walked in, assessing without speaking. Harlen met him near the soda fountain. Glad you're here, Harlen said. Everything we talked about still stands. Leo nodded. You want full reset, start with the floor, then move to systems. We're rebuilding trust before anything else. Leo glanced toward the kitchen window. That the cook, Carla. She's holding the place together. Leo gave a sharp nod and headed back. Harlen turned his attention to the front. Neria was helping a young couple who looked unsure of the menu. She walked them through the options, made small adjustments without being asked, and when she handed them their drinks, she asked where they were from. It was natural, not rehearsed. That kind of warmth couldn't be trained in, it had to come from someone who cared. By noon, the pace picked up. The lunch crowd was modest but steady. Carla and Leo worked in sync, and orders began flowing at a pace the store hadn't seen in weeks. Customers stayed longer. Some even left tips in the jar at the register, something Harlen hadn't seen the day before. Just after 2, a man in a pressed polo and khakis entered the store and made a beeline for the counter, bypassing the short line. He leaned over the glass and called out to Neria. You got my order, she glanced up. I can help you in just a moment. We're finishing an order right now. I called ahead, he snapped. I'm not waiting behind 3 people. Harlen stepped forward. Sir, we're serving customers in the order they arrived. If you'd like to wait, we'll be happy to help you. The man turned to him, annoyed. I'm not talking to you. I want a manager. I'm the owner. The man's expression shifted slightly, skepticism creeping in. Well, your employee's giving me attitude. She told you she'd help you in a moment. That's standard. I shouldn't have to wait behind people who didn't plan ahead. Harlen kept his tone even. Then you'll need to take that up with someone who operates that way. This store doesn't. The man huffed, stepped out of line, and walked out without another word. Neria exhaled quietly and returned to the register. Harlen said nothing, but he gave her a small nod as she rang up the next customer. Later, Leo pulled Harlen aside near the back hallway. Prep area's tight, Leo said. Missing inventory logs too, no paper trail on half these deliveries. I don't know what the last guy was running, but it wasn't compliant. Start fresh. Leo nodded. We'll need new intake sheets. I'll train Carla on the new system. We'll log everything, track spoilage, stay lean. Good. Keep it simple but clean. Just before close, a young woman in a worn hoodie walked in, head low, eyes darting toward the floor. She stepped up to the counter where Neria stood. I was on the schedule last week, she said, voice low. Neria looked at her, then glanced toward Harlen. He stepped forward. What's your name? Jess. I remember you, Harlen said. You were in the back yesterday. She nodded once, barely meeting his eyes. Why are you here? I heard Derek's gone. I didn't know what was happening. I just want to work. You were scheduled, but you didn't work. I didn't know who was in charge. It's been chaos for weeks. Harlen didn't let up. You didn't respond to customers. You didn't step in when your coworker was overwhelmed. I didn't think it was my place. Doing your job doesn't require permission. She looked down. I'm sorry, he studied her. Why'd you take this job? My brother's got a medical condition. I'm helping with bills. Then you should have treated the job like it mattered. She didn't respond. Harlan's tone softened just slightly. I'm not giving out second chances today, but I'll give you one shot to reapply. New process, new standards. If you want in, prove you're ready. She looked up, eyes wide. Really? You'll interview with Leo. If he says no, it's final. I will, thank you. Harlen nodded toward the door. Be here at 8 tomorrow, don't be late. After she left, Leo looked over. You sure about that? No. But I'd rather risk on someone trying to come back than keep anyone who never cared. By closing time, the store was reset. Not perfect, but steady. Carla and Leo had carved out a new rhythm in the kitchen. Neria had trained a new cashier who'd come in mid-afternoon from a sister location. And Harlen had walked the floor every hour, visible, present, listening as they locked up. Neria pulled her jacket on and turned to Harlen. You really meant it when you said you weren't walking away. I don't walk away from my name. She looked around the quiet store. It feels different already, he nodded. That's the goal, not just different, better. Carla emerged from the back, keys in hand. We're good for tomorrow, got the prep list done. Go home, Harlen said. You've earned it. As the lights dimmed and the door clicked shut behind them, Harlen stepped out into the cool night air. The street was quiet. The store behind him no longer felt like a failure. It felt like something worth rebuilding, and that was just the beginning. The next 2 weeks were measured in steps, not leaps, and Harlen made sure every step counted. By Thursday morning, the crew had settled into a rhythm that didn't exist before. Leo ran the back with precision and didn't tolerate shortcuts. Carla handled prep with a quiet authority that grounded the whole kitchen. And Neria, now officially team lead, managed the floor with a clipboard tucked under her arm and a headset clipped over one ear. The headset wasn't for show. Harlen brought in the same small-scale communication system used at his flagship store 3 towns over. It let the kitchen and front talk without shouting, and more importantly, it gave Neria the tools to lead without being everywhere at once. She used it well. Carla, she said into the mic, scanning the growing lunch line, we've got 3 large combo orders just hit. You good back there? Already on it, Carla replied through the headset, voice calm. Harlen watched from the corner booth, laptop open but untouched. He wasn't here to approve invoices or check spreadsheets. He was here to make sure the transformation stuck. At 11:45, the district health inspector arrived unannounced. She wore a navy windbreaker with a faded seal stitched over the breast pocket. Leo met her at the door with a clipboard already in hand. Harlen stood and approached quietly. You're the owner? She asked once Leo pointed him out. Yes, ma'am. You mind if we walk the premises together? Not at all. They moved through the space, starting with the dining area. The inspector checked corners, vents, light covers. Then the kitchen, fridge temps, storage labeling, sanitation stations. She noted the new logs posted by the prep sink and the checklist taped beside the walk-in freezer. Midway through the kitchen tour, she paused. This place looked very different 3 months ago. I know, Harlen said. I've been on site the last 2 weeks. She looked at him, surprised. Owners usually stay in the office. That was the problem. She nodded once, then continued her inspection. By the time she left, she'd posted a 97 out of 100 on the door. The last score had been an 82. Harlen walked back to the booth, but before he sat down, Neria waved him over. Can we talk in the back? She asked. He followed her down the hallway past the office. Inside the storage room, she closed the door behind them. I don't want to overstep, she said, but I think we have a problem brewing. Go on. One of the new hires, Lena, the one we brought in last Friday. She's been acting different when you're not in the room. How so? She talks down to Carla. Says things like that's not how we did it at my last place and you're just a cook. She doesn't help when it gets busy. Yesterday, she left mid-shift saying she had a headache, but 10 minutes later, I saw her across the street at the gas station with her friends. Harlen folded his arms. Why didn't you bring it up yesterday? I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. But today she rolled her eyes at Carla in front of 2 customers. That's enough. Where is she now? Break room. Harlen nodded once and walked there without waiting. The break room was small, tucked between dry storage and the staff restroom. Lena sat with her feet propped on a chair opposite her, scrolling on her phone. She didn't look up when he entered. Lena, she glanced up slow, then set her phone down. Hey, you're off the floor during peak. Why? Leo said it was fine, I just needed a breather. It's been kind of non-stop. He didn't approve that, Harlen said. I already checked. She sat up straighter. Okay, well, I didn't think it was a big deal. It is. Especially when your behavior toward coworkers is already in question, she frowned. What is this about? You've undermined a veteran employee twice. You left a shift early without clearance, and I've heard more than one report that you're disrespectful when no one's watching. This isn't a warning, it's your exit, her eyes narrowed. Seriously, over what, some tattletale? No. Over your behavior. If you can't respect the people who have built this place back from the ground, there's no role for you here. She muttered something under her breath and grabbed her bag. Harlen waited until she passed through the back door, then returned to the kitchen. Carla was at the sink scrubbing trays. She didn't look up. She's gone, Harlen said. Carla kept her focus on the water. You didn't deserve that, he added. Finally, she turned her head. I've worked kitchens long enough to recognize the ones who think they're above it. She wasn't going to last. You ever need me to step in again, Harlen said. Don't hesitate. She gave a small nod and returned to her work. By the weekend, the changes started to ripple outward. Customers who had once written off the store began returning. A family of 4 who'd left a scathing review a month earlier came back for breakfast and left a handwritten thank you on a napkin. Harlen saw it happen. The father walked up to the counter after the meal and handed it to Neria. She read it, smiled, and handed it to Harlen without a word. It said, "This feels like a different place. Thank you for not giving up." That afternoon, Harlen called a team meeting after the last table cleared. Everyone gathered in the dining area. Carla wiping her hands on a towel, Leo leaning against the counter, Neria with a clipboard balanced against her hip, and the 3 new hires who'd passed their trial week. Harlen stood near the register. When I walked in here 2 weeks ago, he said, I saw a place that had forgotten how to care. No one spoke. I saw good people being ignored, hard work being buried, and customers walking out without being noticed. That's not just bad business. That's failure of leadership starting with me. He looked to Carla and Neria. You two kept this place from falling apart. You didn't ask for praise. You didn't wait for someone to tell you how to fix it. You just showed up and did the work. That change is starting now. He pulled 2 envelopes from his jacket and handed one to each of them. Carla opened hers slowly. Inside was a performance bonus 3 weeks' pay. Neria's envelope held the same, along with an official promotion letter to assistant manager. Neria looked up, stunned. You've earned it, Harlen said. And there's more. Starting next month, we're rolling out profit sharing across all locations. Everyone who meets the standards will see a share of what they help build. One of the newer hires, a quiet young man named Devin, raised his hand slightly. What kind of standards? Leo stepped in. Clock in on time, don't disappear, watch your station, help each other. Treat customers like they matter and don't talk down to anyone ever. You do that, you're good. Devin nodded, visibly relieved. Harlen continued, this store isn't perfect. It won't be overnight, but it's moving in the right direction because the right people are in place. I won't always be here watching, but the culture we build will be. After the meeting, Harlen stepped into the office and called his regional manager. Make sure this story gets shared, he said. Every store, every team. You want me to write it up? No, I'll do it. They need to hear it from me. He hung up and looked out through the office window. Neria was helping Devin load new supplies into the dry rack. Carla was showing a new hire how to portion sauces correctly. Leo was adjusting the order screen layout to cut down confusion. The place looked nothing like it had 2 weeks ago. As Harlen stepped out into the late afternoon light, a pair of customers walked in. Neria greeted them with a nod, hands moving quickly across the register. They didn't know they'd once walked into a store where no one noticed them. Now, they were the reason it changed.